Welcome to the OSF Digital Podcast. In this episode, we're joined by Andrea Gacanin, an expert working in the intersection of data, AI, and sociology, where technology meets human behavior. Today, we explore how change management builds trust and turns insight into real transformation. Tune in to discover why data literacy matters, how to overcome adoption challenges, and what it takes to make insights a part of everyday work.
So, Andrea, I'm so excited to have you on the show today because I think we're sitting at such an interesting crossroads as AI is starting to really take off in adoption and organizations are starting to look at data. And you sit with such an interesting view, especially with your sociology background, of what that all looks like for organizations and how they're going to take it to best use it in their future. So from your perspective, when we're looking at data literacy, why is it such a cornerstone of what digital transformation looks like today?
So I would say that data literacy is really the foundation of any digital transformation. You can invest in the most advanced platforms in the world, really, but if people don't understand, if they don't trust, if they don't know how to use like the insights that you can get from the data, then nothing changes. And when I say data literacy, I don't mean everyone has to become a data scientist or something like that. It's about having the confidence to read, to question, like really to act on the data in the everyday, on the day-to-day decisions, really. Whether you're in sales, whether you're in marketing or services, or like also the IT, of course, or even leadership as well. And from a sociological point of view, and this is what is really dear to me, it's that data literacy is all about inclusion. It's about making sure that knowledge is not concentrated into the hands of, let's say, the IT. Nothing bad with that, but here the perspective is really that everyone can seize the opportunity to understand the data and to act on it. And like this is why tools like Salesforce play such a huge role because they lower the barrier to access. Because if you have the data, all the data in one place, everyone can access it, everyone can read it, and you are pushing your organization to be data literate, then everyone has the knowledge and the power. And this is what I find really interesting in these settings in tech. And this is a huge paradigm shift that is happening right now and that we are also contributing to.
So we look at organizations across the spectrum all talking about becoming data driven, right? And I feel like it's been the buzzword of the past 10 years, right? Is we're going to be a data driven organization. Still, they're all seeing similar challenges over the course of that decade. So what do you see as those main challenges that organizations are facing when they talk about becoming data driven?
I think, like, from my perspective, from what I saw in the different markets that I worked on, one of the biggest challenges is the gap between the vision and the reality. Many companies want to be data driven, but they still stay siloed in a way. Like their systems don't communicate, or they will have different tools for different things, and then the data is not shared across the organization. And like also their employees are not trained to interpret the insights from the different systems that are producing the insights and the data. And then there's like also, like I would say that's the first thing, the siloed and the technical part. It's always about people, process, and technology as we know it, but it's hard to sometimes pinpoint the shift that can happen in being data driven. I think there's also the cultural side. Data can make performance visible, and visibility can create both like power and empowerment between employees and within the organization, but it can also create some resistance and anxiety. So change management is really essential. It's not just about the tools. It's also being it's also having strategic consultants that can help you navigate through times of change. That's why like having this, like I would say, single source of truth is really important. That's like the tool part, but then you really have to embark your people into understanding the whole process of change management. And this is where I would say that OSF can step in, because like we've been working with many customers and also with Salesforce, so we know the tool, but we also know the challenges. And helping customers bridging this gap is really, really important. It's really bridging the gap between technology and people and making the process work. This for me is I would say how I would overcome these two challenges.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because we continue to see, the people side of change, right? Of adoption being a continual problem that really leads to the make or break of a digital transformation project. So how do you think the right strategy and the right partner helps organizations go beyond just the technology being a shiny thing on the wall and actually real adoption that the humans in the organization are using?
Well, exactly, like as you said, adoption is like, but you can have the best tools. Adoption is about people, not dashboards. You can have the shiny dashboard, but then the most successful projects that we see are the ones that combine the technical excellence, but also the human understanding. Human understanding often comes with, I would say, a hand-in-hand partnership with a company that will help you, that went there, and that also saw across different industries what it means to change, what it means to change all your data infrastructure, all your CRM, for example, all the marketing automation or things like that. At OSF, I think that we spend time to understand how people actually work. That's all about the business understanding of the, and that is at the beginning of the projects, the habits, the incentives, the fears, because this is like, fear can also be a huge I would say, yeah, it can be a huge wall when you're driving change management in a data perspective. We are able, I would say, from the projects that I've seen, to adapt Salesforce to the context where the tool can support the behaviors and not create fear of like more data, more insights. It's not just about having all those dashboards. It's really about understanding what makes people's lives easier on their day-to-day job. What we want is them to succeed, and this is what makes a huge difference. And also, like when we, like, from my let's say a sociology perspective, people are like will really be refractive to change if they don't understand the tool. And this is where all this knowledge management is so important, and all these like business questions that we start asking from the very beginning of every project, all the discussions that we have with all the employees and all the business units, when people feel that the system is built for them, not against them, that's when adoption happens.
So it sounds like you're addressing a lot of these kind of common pitfalls that companies are facing with addressing AI or data platforms upfront, right? So what are those common pitfalls that you're seeing that you're addressing early?
I would say, well, interesting question. Like, I would say that like the classic mistake is really overemphasizing the technology and underestimating the culture. This is what we see quite a lot. I know, like, because like the thing is, we often have this assumption that if we've built it, we're gonna use it,
Mhm.
but that rarely happens. This is not how people, like, you can have this shiny dashboard, you can have all the marketing automations that you want. If you don't really like incentivize people to use it, this is one of the greatest pitfalls. A successful rollout of a Salesforce tool, any of them, from what I've seen, isn't just about the platform. The platform, we know how to build it, and we have experts, and I have zero doubts about that. But it's also about the clear adoption path, and this is where communication, trainings, and rituals of use, because it's like, I don't know. It's like having a new phone. Like you like, I don't know. You go from one system to another. You need to adapt to try to understand how does it work. Is it different? It's different. It might not be easy from the very beginning. Maybe it's gonna take you like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get into it. But then you're gonna, like, with different rituals, you're gonna have a different point of view on the technology. Um, Without that, the tool is just going to stay unused in a way, and like the promise of transformation will never materialize. So it's really about this knowledge sharing and knowledge management, and this is about empowering people. I think that it's rarely said in the enterprises. I often say it with my students. It's more like, it is not about enforcing change on you. It's about giving you a tool that gives you power, and not the other way around. And this is, I think, something that we should be pushing even more. We're already doing it and empowering people from every business unit, from our customers. But I think this is something that we could do even more worldwide, let's say.
Yeah. And when you talk about that, it's something that really does come from the leadership level, right? From the top down. Setting a culture like this has to come from the top down, right? So, when you see how important it is for leadership to set the tone for a data-driven culture, what can they do to help support people underneath them and organizationally supporting them in being a data-driven culture?
I've actually seen it happen with a couple of customers already, a couple of years ago as well. It's I mean, leadership is absolutely critical because they are the ones who are going to decide. As I said, like, we want to empower the people, but still someone has to take the decision, and that someone is someone from the leadership team. And leaders, I think, have to walk the talk. Many great leaders in the different organizations we've worked with really included the dashboards, like everything that we've built for them, the Salesforce trainings, for example, in their leadership routines, so they know where the data is, they know how it is built in the cloud, and they know how different automation tools are going to work on this. They know how their CRM works. And if leadership is doing this work, then that behavior is going to cascade down through the organization. And I think this is the important part, is like leading by example in a way. But at OSF, this is what I find great as well, with all the routines that we have around project management. We always build meetings that are like I would say that are including the leadership team, but also we are cascading it down to the different business units, and we are doing that, like weaving it into change management and data storytelling. And I think this is how it's going, like it can impact the different organizations. And it's nothing different than what you can see in politics or anywhere in anywhere in the social landscape, let's say.
So I want to take a step back just because I know how passionate you are about data literacy and how much it's just in your current field of view right now. So when we talk about data literacy, how much of that is, so the point we've been making here, is about the people, and how much is it of it is the platforms that they use every day?
Mm, I think it's both, because people need to feel confident with data, so that's the first thing. But the platform has to make the confidence possible. Like, you have to have a single source of truth. And I've seen many big organizations where, when you don't trust your data, when finance and e-commerce, and I've worked in one big company previously, where we had finance, we had e-commerce, me, and marketing fighting over the same number, and we all had different numbers because we had different systems. And so, like, this is why for me it's so important that people need to feel confident with the data, but really the platform has to be trustworthy. If tools are too complex or too fragmented, literacy suffers, because then you have to try to transform what does it mean for, like, what does this number mean for marketing, what does this number mean for finance. If we don't calculate it the same way, then it's not going to work, it's not going to bring us any kind of knowledge. What I like about the tools that we are using at OSF, or the tools that we are deploying at OSF, is this is the fact that we are making sure that, like, that it actually works and it fits, or like a wider scheme. It's not just about having one fancy project and, like, you want AI, let's build AI. That's not how we work. We really have this I would say holistic vision, where we know that data is your fuel, and then you have to organize it properly to to really maintain it properly, and then you can do wonders. And this is how we took customers from one point to much much better in a few, I would say, months, years.
Fantastic. So on the tool side of things, when you talk about modern platforms and when they're properly integrated, right? How do they make it easier for employees on all levels to engage with data with the confidence that you've been talking about?
Mm, I would say when you integrate, when data is integrated, with the platform like Salesforce, when you have all your data in data cloud, it really makes the data feel seamless. Like, you don't have to connect to different, imagine, and it's not even imagine, like, it's reality for many people. You have to connect to three different systems in order to get the data for one thing about sales in one boutique in one region. And like this is like not only confusing, but then like you lose the trust of your employees. For example, like as I said, with sales cloud or data cloud, you would like even frontline employees will have this like the opportunity to have the best information, fresh data, and I would say data that they can trust. These are the people who are making the company work. If you have, I have one customer in mind that I'm not gonna say, but their employees in the boutique have access to some of the Salesforce tools, and it is so empowering, even on their own, I would say, daily jobs, because they have the opportunity. If they read the data right, if they use the tools that have been given to them, they went through the trainings and everything, they have the opportunity to just sell more as well. And like at the end of the day, it makes a difference for them. So this is why data literacy and having these I would say right tools in the right platforms that we are setting up is also important as an empowering tool. I would say I'm saying tool way too much, but that's
That's
why
what we're
for me,
talking about. We're talking about tools. So
yeah, we're talking about
yeah.
tools, but you have to use them.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's the great thing about, yeah, what we're doing here.
So to use the word tool again, um, thinking about the difference between deployment and embedding, right? How do you differentiate simply deploying a tool and embedding it in the fabric of how people work in their day to day?
That's the interesting part, because so there's absolutely a difference. Deployment is like an installation. Like you don't ask for it. Like we just install stuff in your house, and then you don't know. Like it just sits there, and you have to like walk around it, and you don't really know what to do with it. The embedding is really transformation. Like this, like embedding means like aligning with the internal processes. This is why we always ask our customers, what's your day to day, like tell me about your daily job. What are your fears, what are your what are your objectives, what are you working towards, and how can we help make your life easier? How do you access your data? Like basically it really like it's all about sometimes sitting next to the person and just watching how do they log on their laptop, where do they click, what's important for them, and how do they gather the insights, and these kind of small, I would say, almost anthropological signs of the usage of digital, let's say, and different tools. And for example, if you look at Salesforce, they provide the capability, which is amazing, really. But the embedding is really aligning with the processes, training the employees, and this is where it cannot be done just on your own. Like the company cannot, like if you take one of our customers, even the most advanced ones, those that like have a huge IT team that understand everything about Salesforce, they still need, I would say, an outsider vision on how strategy, how to embed the tools and the processes correctly. Our role here is really that is ensuring that the technology lives inside the people's daily routines, not just in IT documentation. And this is what makes Salesforce stand out, because it's designed in order to be embedded like this. And I think this is also in our core DNA. We really want to build tools that are used and not just
Yeah.
fancy shiny things for leadership.
So I'm going to ask you to throw your research lens on here for a second. Um, when you think about what happens when people have access to data skills and tools, and when that's uneven across a company, what does that look like? What are the outcomes of when there's uneven access across a company?
Um, yeah, so this is where for me it's really, I think our work here is so empowering, because you create, like when there's this imbalance, you create what I call like the data haves and the data have nots. So like when some people can read and act on data and the others can't. Today, like it can lead to frustration. It's not just it can lead, it leads to frustration. Some people do not use the dashboard because they don't know what's behind it. It creates disengagement and like even power imbalances. Think about it, like everyone has a shovel and like you don't know how to use a shovel, but the others know,
Yeah.
then you're going to feel frustrated because you don't know what to do with your fancy shovel here. And it's the same with the digital tools. We sometimes overestimate the data literacy, and I think this is something that has to be addressed, because with tools like, for example, with tools that Salesforce provide, and also all the trainings that we and also you can access on Trailhead, for example, um, it's really about democratizing the access, and this is what is so important, because in every company that we are working with, it's like what is at stake here is really democracy at some point, like within the organization.
Yeah.
Nothing to do about politics or anything like that, but it's more like we're giving you the power, like literally that's what we're doing. And like Salesforce is providing the infrastructure to do it because it's so transparent, and it's also so, and I would say engaged in the fact that you would have one single source of truth, no doubts to have about your data. This is so reassuring in a way for employees, and for us, it's also like we are providing training, enabling the different business units. I would say, if you tie it to sociology, I would say that everyone deserves to participate in the data conversation. We don't want anyone to feel left behind, So
Yeah.
that's this part.
So we've reached kind of a new place in terms of people being in a thing we weren't dealing with 5 years ago in change management was people are just legitimately scared that they're taking place in their own replacement, right? And the I'm going to be replaced by AI of it all. So how do you think emotions like trust and fear shape the way people are either adapting or resisting to new technologies as they come down the pike?
Yeah, I think that. So we've heard it quite a lot, to be honest, these past few years, and like emotions play a huge role here. People don't resist the technology because they think it's irrational. I think they resist it because of the fear of opacity. Like they don't see what's behind. It's like it's different with other kinds of technologies. Some sociology and history of technology thinkers said like technology has its own way of thinking and growing towards progress, and we sometimes don't understand it if we don't dive deep in it. So I think that this, like the fears of being replaced by AI, just comes from misunderstanding of what AI is, how it works, and the place that you can play here. And because you think that you don't understand how decisions are made, or what your role is once everything is automated or things like this. But then if you follow the steps of I would say of a deployment of of one of our AI projects, then you understand the whole architecture. You train the AI agent, you feed it data. This data is provided by you and not by like something else, or you select the sources. For example, we put on guardrails, and like we only select a few tasks that they can do. And with tools that are transparent, then it's explainable, so it's easier. Like I think there's less resistance. But when you have, and like, trust me, like from my background, you could have, when we were fighting over one single number, like how many items of this have we sold this month, and we have three different numbers, and who do you want to trust?
Yeah.
AI is unreachable. So
Yeah.
when you have a transparent system with just no silos and one platform, then it makes everything so much easier, because you don't have to spend out. Just think about it. You don't have to spend hours in meetings deciding who is right or wrong about how many items of this or that we've sold. And then you can also think about automating all the small tasks that you like, that are burdensome, and that don't provide any kind of I would say specific value for the employee. So I think the fear of replacement is really a lack of sometimes understanding, and like
Yeah.
fear of change management. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's every technological innovation. The first three
Mhm.
years, everybody's going to be terrified. People were scared of IBM
Exactly.
in 1980. It's a continual story that we just have
Yeah.
to overcome. together, right? Okay, so just to wrap us up here,
Mhm.
companies starting their data journey, right? There's not everybody's either restarting or starting right now. If they're looking at fresh green grass, I'm taking my first step. What do I do beyond just buying the technology?
Mm, I would say, like like first of all, you have to define your vision. Like, what does data driven mean to you? Like, what kind of decisions you want to improve? What guides your data use actually? I often ask this in like discovery calls when I meet C level stakeholders of like from some of our customers or prospects. It's not about just choosing a tool or a platform. It's about understanding what is your objective and what how do you see data fit into your company. um, I would say that yeah, the first step is really designing the vision. One very powerful image I had with one chief data officer of a luxury group was that he explained that first they had like he showed an image. It was an empty pool. So the pool was empty of water. So he said, okay, so 5 years ago we bought the tools. We had the infrastructure, but we have no data to put in it because we didn't know what to do with it. Then he shows another image where you can see a scuba diver like going deep down into the sea, and he said we hired data scientists so smart that they could go deep down, like even further than just a pool, and dig treasures. And that was the second step. It was like and he said 2 years ago, but he said my vision is not to rely on these like few experts. My vision is that I want everyone to swim in that pool with lanes, with all the water flowing around. And that is like in the sea, like in an ocean of data. And everyone knows the governance. Everyone sees the water as it's transparent, like the data is fresh and transparent and always like a renewing, like just like an energy. And I was like, okay, so you have a vision for your company. And his vision is was and it is still to enforce, of course, because it has to come from top down, to be honest, like because when you make those decisions, to enforce the data literacy um down to, I would say, like all the different levels. He wanted everyone to access the same dashboards that he could access as well. And this is about the data, I would say this is about the data transparency. And that was his vision, and it worked. And I think this is a great example. And I think this is what I advise the different customers that I discuss with, and or prospect that I discuss with. It's not just about choosing the right tool. Of course Salesforce is great, and it creates transparency, but I think behind that you really we can have discussions around the vision that you have, and like the culture that you want to build around data in your organization.
So to wrap us up here, and I think you'll do a good job of this. So if I'm an employee right now and I'm in an organization, I'm just feeling overwhelmed. What advice do you have for them as they approach the new tools and all this data that's being thrown at them with confidence?
I would say so. What we see, like trainings are good, but sometimes they don't necessarily work because the employees don't automatically see the benefit for them. So it can happen, to be honest. And I would say when you feel overwhelmed, when I have a new tool that I need to use, I just see it as an ally. I just see it as like an empowerment and not just like a new burden, not a threat. Absolutely not as a threat. It is never a threat. I think it's more like it's really like an ally, and you start small. You start with one dashboard. You start by accessing the CRM, trying to just to look around. What does it mean? Does the data mean what you think it means? Like, do you really are you right? Are you looking at the right columns? Are you gaining the right insights? And like just checking what can help you in your day-to-day work. um, the data can become intuitive with some tools. If you go into the Salesforce CRM, for example, well, it's I would not say it's easy, because we really have to take into account that some people don't have the same data background as we do, but it's still something that, with some curiosity and with the, I would say, the confidence that this is empowering you, then it can lead you to, trying and embedding this in your journey. And I know that this is something that our consultants are also very, very keen on, is helping the different, helping all the, I would say, all the organizations that we work with to build, I would say, not just a training path, but to embed the tool in the daily routine of the business units, so that training doesn't even feel like training, and this
Yeah.
is where it starts. Like, it doesn't even have to feel like you have to learn something if you really want to. And this is like, we in the sociology of education, like, we discuss a lot about, like, this desire of learning something new. I think this is what changes everything.
Andrea, it's always such a pleasure to talk to you. I'm sure we're going to have you on again. Just so brilliant. It's very appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Let's Talk Business Transformation by OSF Digital. Follow us for more episodes and visit osf.digital to learn more.